Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome everybody to Both Sides of the Conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Tonight we are having another Hidden Gem segment. We are excited about tonight's segment. We have some phenomenal folks coming on tonight. We have the coaches of the Sacred Heart Cathedral Preparation School. They are going to the championship, representing the city. So I'm just excited tonight. Some good news because over these last couple of weeks, we have been dealing with loss, death, violence, so many negative things in our community. And it's always good to celebrate some of the successes and some of the wins of our community. So just excited about our hidden gems tonight. And we have a phenomenal guest who's going to do a presentation about estate planning. You all know here at Both Sides of the Conversation, we will continue to intentionally get the information to our community. This is very, very important information for our community. So I am excited about tonight's segment. Just so everybody know, real quick updates for Both Sides of the Conversation. Our new website has launched. We're having some bugs and we're working out some bugs and some issues, but it is out there. So if you want to check it out, go to bsotc.org. The upgrade is nice. There's a lot of things that community is going to be able to do to navigate. But again, it is new. We've been up. Our team has been working resilient all night, making sure we work out the kinks and bugs. And I know a couple of our guests had some struggles tonight. Getting access tonight through the sign up of our website, and we apologize as we're trying to push this thing forward. It's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things happening that we're doing here at Both Sides of the Conversation. I'm getting about 2 hours of sleep every night, so y'all have to be patient and be understanding that there's a lot of work and a lot of commitment. It's a lot of committed folks here at Both Sides of the Conversation, behind the scenes, making stuff happening, grinding out for the community. So be patient, community. Things are happening. We have some phenomenal things that we are rolling out. We have some phenomenal collaborations that are coming up that we're going to be doing with some community organizations to help impact our community. As we all know right now, we are in some crises in our community. A lot of things are happening. So we're looking forward to that. We are excited about what's coming down the pipeline here at Both Sides of the Conversation. Then just want to give a huge shout out to our Sunday conversation we had with Rafiki Coalition and the Kaisers at Doctor. What a great conversation. The community feedback was amazing about how people felt the conversation went and the information that they received. So just want to say thank you for community for continue to support us and be understanding as we move through and navigate and just try to bring the right information to our community so that our community is informed and can really make the right decisions on all things, not just COVID, but all things that impact us in our community. With that being said, I want to give a huge shout out to the East Oakland Collective today. 300 plus families blessed today with groceries, food, a number of things that they are doing to impact the community. Diapers, as you all seen, baby advocates, both sides of the conversation. We've been getting diapers diapers and community resources out to the community. Thanks to all the sponsors, donors who've been donating to our toy drive, being able to impact our unhoused folks and some of our families who just impacted financially, our elders. So just want to say thank you to all the community folks who've been stepping up, supporting, doing the things that you all do. And that's why we salute you so much here at both sides of the conversation for being a village, being a part of the change, changing the narrative by going out, doing the work, and blessing others, especially during this holiday season. As we know, sometimes these could be very depressed, downtime for folks. People are trying to pay bills, but also bring a light and blessing to their young folks and community. So we're just happy to have this drive, and we'll be able to impact some families, some youth, and be able to do some amazing things over the next couple of weeks as we lead into the holiday weekend and into the new year. Also, the East Oakland Collective over the next upcoming weeks on their grocery drive on Tuesdays and Thursdays going to have a special giveaway where they're going to be able to impact more groceries for other community folks and increase some of the service and support. So we are proud of the work that they are doing, and we're looking forward to continue to support and help them push that movement and make sure that our community gets blessed with those resources. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a couple of the community announcements, some of the stuff that's going on across the country. When we're talking about COVID, this is a big topic. So we're going to go through some of that stuff, and then we'll get into tonight's segment. We got our guy, Nate Ford, here. SF Rebels, happy to have him back on with us another Tuesday night as he is doing some phenomenal stuff with the Junior NBA League and this reading thing. I am so impressed, and Nate's going to talk to y'all about these care packages, these reading care packages that are so important for our young folks and for our community as we continue to push education in our community. And you're going to hear from some phenomenal coaches that's also about education. So I'm looking forward to tonight's show. With that being said, there has been more than 500,000 children across the United States who have tested positive for COVID this semester. Terrible to see the numbers increasing so hard. There's been so many cases among the Indiana students, K through 12. Those numbers have jumped back up this week after taking a dip around Thanksgiving holiday. There was about another 4,321 cases reported among students this week. This is the highest number of reported cases since mid-September. So community, let's do our part to continue to wear our masks. Let's do our part to continue to educate ourselves. And I know this vaccination is coming out for some of our young folks. But, you know, we have to start really taking this COVID serious as it's impacting a lot of these young folks in our community. And we just don't want our young folks bringing COVID in there to some of the elders of our families and some of that. So there's still a lot of work going on, but there has been some very, very sharp increases. Also, as we have the new variant running around here in the United States, especially here in the West Coast, there's been a number of reported cases. It is sad that it is still spreading, but it's here. Community, we are not out of the woodwork yet, so we're going to have to still, in solidarity, do the things that we need to do, social distance, and make sure that we are doing the things to make sure that we are not spreading this virus. It is a very deadly virus, and you know, we want these numbers to not get caught up and continue to go up like they have, especially at the time where we're dealing with the winter and flu season as well. Just want to take care of our community. With that being said, sad news, but it is happening. Texas passed the critical race theory law regulating teachers of slavery, race, and a number of other topics in the classroom. You know, this is going to be an ongoing conversation. But this law was passed to keep racial theory out of the Texas public schools. It is there to keep teachers from really debating and currently talking about public policy and social affairs that affect us here in this country. As we know, in the Black and brown community, some of these race theories and some of these things that really impact us is some of the stuff that needs to be taught in our school. But again, when we talk about race, gender, and sex, these type of laws really impact the Black and brown community. And I know there's going to be fight and pushback about this policy. There's a number of forums and things that's going to be happening, and we'll have some conversation about it here on both sides of the conversation on some of our Sunday conversations as we continue to fight for social justice, racial justice, and a lot of these equalities in our country. And we're going to continue to do our part. With that being said, community announcements, some of the community events that's going on upcoming week here. There's a number of events. We want to get this information out to the community so that our families can get out, enjoy some of this holiday season. There's a number of free events. There's a number of events where people are going to be giving out toys and opportunity for families. So please check out some of these events and get out there with your young ones and the family and celebrate a little bit of these holiday months coming up. And we looking forward to being a part of a number of these as well. So the Jingle All the Way is happening at the Baby Opera House at 4705 3rd Street, Saturday, December 18th from 12 p.m. To 5 p.m. There's going to be a live performance by Mac Mall, one of our local Bay Area Vallejo rappers. I know it says Hall on there. It should say Mall, but it's Mac Mall, y'all, the Bay Area legend, right out of Vallejo. He's going to be doing a performance. There's a number of other Bay Area artists that's going to be a part of the Jingle All the Way. We are looking forward, and shout out to Sadrina. That's our sister. She's been here on Hidden Gems. She is doing a fine job with Classy Pieces, bringing our communities together. So we want to give Sadrina a shout out and say thank you for continuing to impact our community and making sure that our community have these type of events, especially during the holiday season. Also, Shugs, A Christmas to Remember is happening. It's going to be some live entertainment, vendors, great food, auction, games, prize, and they're also going to have toys and clothes for the community as well. That is happening December the 19th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Cafe Envy, 1701 Yosemite Boulevard right here in the city. It's an outside event. It will be kind of cold, so make sure you have your coats, rain gear, just in case it rains. But the event will happen, so we're looking forward to supporting Sister Shug and all the work that she's doing for community. So we're excited by that. The AACC is presenting Wakanda Wonderland. That is happening this Saturday, December the 11th from 1 to 7 p.m. It'll be at the 762 Fulton Street at the African American Culture Center over there. And also they'll be at the Collective Impact Ella Hill Hutch location as well. And we will be out there, both sides of the conversation this Saturday. If you want to see me, I'll be out there at that location. We'll be at 1050 McAllister Street with the Ella Hill Hutch team and the Collective Impact folks to help celebrate the Winter Wonderland. So if you want to see us, you want to come out and support, we'll be out there this Saturday. Looking forward to seeing you all. There's going to be vending, games, rides, some youth zones, a number of things that's going to happen. We got a top secret thing that we're going to bring out there as well, but you will see us out there. So come out, bring the family, and come hang with the families. The Homeless Children Network is presenting the Kamoji Healing Arts Program. It's the community through community arts. It's starting 12/13 at 9 a.m. at 1426 Fillmore Street, Suite 301. That is coming up here in a couple of days. Please, if you want to be a part of it, you want to see some cool art, let me tell you, Dr. Silas and the team over there, they are doing some phenomenal stuff when it comes to art in our community. You want to see some Black art, you want to see some Black pieces and artwork, that's where you want to be. So go check them out. Also, this Friday, Booker T. Washington Community Center, our sister Shakira Simply is over there. They are continuing the Fillmore Wellness Winterfest celebration. It is happening this Friday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 800 Presidio Ave in San Francisco. If you want to go be a part of it, they have some cool things that they're going to be doing up there. They're going to be giving away books and toys, wellness gifts. They're going to have a bouncy house, a number of things up there. So please stop by Booker T. Washington if you want to bring some children and come out with the community. They're going to be putting that up this week. So looking forward to that, and we'll be out there as well. For both sides of the conversation announcements, we already put out there the website is going up, but you also can support us through the holiday season. We know we just passed Giving Tuesday, but every time you shop on Amazon, you could choose both sides of the conversation as one of your charitable organizations that you would like to give some of your purchase to when you're purchasing a thing to help support the work that we're doing to impact the community. So we are looking forward to all the support and continued support from community as we have a number of phenomenal things coming up. We have a major bowling event that's going to be coming up. We're looking for sponsors and support for that as well, and we're looking forward to that. The Giving Tuesday has passed, but you can continue to support and give to both sides of the conversation all throughout the year. With that being said, this Thursday, we're going to have a phenomenal educational Thursday. We're going to have Delia Fitzpatrick come on and talk about some amazing stuff for our youth and the education stuff that they're doing with these kids. So we are looking forward to having her on this Thursday, and then this Sunday, we're going to be giving out the announcement. We should be having another Asha Black Doctor conversation this Sunday with Rafiki Coalition and Wellness and some of the medical professionals to talk about not only COVID, but this Sunday we're going to talk about some of the other health disparities and issues that are impacting our Black and brown community. So we are looking forward to hearing from some of the doctors and some of the folks this Sunday. We will be getting that information out to you if anything changed, but that's the plan, and we're looking forward to doing that as well. And then our other Sunday conversation that will be happening this month is on December 19th. We will be talking with doulas and midwives. This is a very, very important conversation for community. We are looking forward and excited about the doula and midwife conversation. So we are excited. Hope you're going to be able to tune in for that. And then next Tuesday, we'll have another segment of our Hidden Gem. As we get close to the Christmas holiday, Kwanzaa, and into the new year, you're going to see some of our programming back up. We won't be having some shows on certain days. We will have a couple of special shows that's going to happen from some of our sponsors. But for our regular programming, we're going to be backing out as we get ready to close out for the end of the year, as we start relaunching, regrouping, and getting ready for the new year. So we excited about that. With that being said, that is enough of the announcements. You heard enough from me. And if I missed the announcement, again, if you would like to have your event or information posted here on our Both Sides of the Conversation live, please go to our website or enter our email address, bsotc@events. And that's where you can find out more information about events if you would like us to come to some of your events and support your event, or if you would like to get us to put some of this information out on the air and share it on our social medias. All digital flyers and that type of information needs to be submitted to bsotc@events, and someone will reach out to you and answer all your event questions that is needed. So with that being said, I'm going to bring up my brother Nate, and then we're going to bring up our first hidden gem tonight. For tonight's segment. I see some of the other folks coming on, so I guess we'll be bringing up the whole Sacred Heart crew. But brother Nate, welcome back. Happy to have you back here.
Man.
Another Tuesday, man. What's up, Nate? Holla at the people, man.
No, good, John. Everything good, man. We trying to, shout out to you, man. You always looking out for the community. And, when, there's these first guests you bring up, I think these are some brothers that really need to be recognized. I don't know who else is on, but this is something that I really appreciate for you bringing them on. But this weekend, we also are doing our junior MBA again in conjunction with the San Francisco Human Rights Commission Director Cheryl Davis and the San Francisco Sheriff's Department. We're in the Everybody Reads initiative. We're having our book fair part 2. And about a month ago, we gave away, over 300 books to kids. With the kits, they had crayons, they had markers, they had workbooks, all kind of storybooks for all ages. And kids got I think that packet was worth at least $100 per pack. And they got packets and they got some stuff from the sheriff. The assistant sheriff came out, passed out books and stuff. So the kids had a great time. So we decided to run it back because a lot of people, we missed it. You know how that go. Oh, we missed it. So we're going to run it back for them. So it's this Saturday, again, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. over at Gateway High School in the parking lot at the corner of Pierce and O'Farrell Street, right in the parking lot. It's open to anybody who wants some books and material to read over the holiday break. And it's just a great kit to have. And I'm just so thankful for Director Davis for supporting this and the Everybody Reads initiative, along with the Sheriff's Department for their support as well.
Man, phenomenal stuff, man. Thank you, Nate. I was able to get one of those kits for my grandbaby, and she just enjoyed it. Thank you for your commitment. And, shout out to Director Davis for making sure that we keep education a priority in our community. And I'm just glad y'all running it back to make sure the people who missed it, as you all know, there'll be a winter break coming up. Our young folks won't be in school. So these type of kits that Nate is putting out in the community is very, very important. And it is very, very critical for our young folks while they're out on the winter recess to still stimulate their mind and educate themselves and continue to stay afloat during this holiday season. So thank you, Nate, for continuing to do it. And I see my brother Rico out there in the chat. Want to give a huge shout out to my brother Rico.
Man, that's great. Great
Yeah,
to
I
see
just want to
Rico.
tell you, Rico, we love you. We support you. We're praying for you. Continue to get well, my brother. We see you out there, and continue to do what you're doing, man. And we here and we support you. So thank you for tuning in tonight. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into tonight's Hidden Gems. We're going to bring up Coach. We're going to bring up Brother Mike Hill and some of the Sacred Heart folks. I don't know who all is on. We had a bunch of folks come in last minute, but Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself, and whoever you want us to bring up. If you want Coach Rico to come up or anybody else, let me know who you want to bring up to the screen. I don't see their cameras on, but we'll bring them up as you go ahead and introduce yourself and what you are. We are excited, and we are happy to have you here tonight, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be on the show. My name is Mike Hill. I am one of the offensive coordinators at Sacred Heart Cathedral, private school here in San Francisco. I've been blessed to be asked to be on this coaching staff, and we will be playing the school's first state championship this Saturday, December 11th, 6 p.m. And we'll be home at Kezar. So that's big in itself. We got a state championship, and we're right here in our backyard. So we hope that the community can come out, no matter if you support SH, just San Francisco in itself, come out and show love, and let's show LA, kind of what we're working with here.
Man, phenomenal stuff, man. We excited about that. I've been challenged this year to keep up with all of the high school football games and what's going on. But when they called me this morning, I was reading some stuff. He said, John Henry, we got to get the coaches on. They going to the championship. They doing some amazing stuff. I said, no problem, Nate. I know it was last minute, but just happy that you all showed up. Is Coach Rico going to come on, and you want to bring up some of these? I see a bunch of folks on here that's in backstage. They came posseed up. Do you want to bring some of them up, or you want to just kind of go through some of the year? Because I wanted to talk to them and ask some of the questions about the young folks. But I see D. Miller here, Antoinette, and a couple of the folks here. So I don't know if they can hear us.
Right. I'm not sure who's on, but I can go ahead and just highlight, just kind of. That's Coach Rio Carter's here. So first, I just wanted to talk about our coaching staff. I know I'm here, but I represent just a part of everything that's going on. Our head coach is Coach Barry McLaughlin. He's a local kid, been in coaching for almost 19 years. Our defensive coordinator is Antoine Evans. He's Fillmore grown. Right here where Sacred Heart is at. We got Mario Carter, who's coaching our linebackers. We got Kelvin Sanders coaching our DBs, and my co-OC, my partner, is Fidel Pug. So we all from San Francisco. We all from this community here. So it's amazing that we can come, be a part of this and give back to our community.
Man, that's what's up, man. Coach Rico and the other coaches that's on, going to introduce yourself, man. Let people know who y'all is, what y'all doing. We are excited. I want to get the community out there this Saturday at 6 p.m. to come support y'all. We got San Francisco. This is a great time to have our city highlighted against Southern California, Bay Area. Let's show up. This is the time to come out and stand behind our San Francisco team. This is a great opportunity to put some San Francisco history on the map. So I'm excited. But Coach Rico and the other coaches on there, if y'all want to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about y'all program, man.
I see Coach Mario Carter's there if you want to say something.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Coach Rio, linebacker coach, Sacred Heart. I'm excited, man. We're excited about everything that we got going on right now at the school with the program. Excited about being in the championship. It's a blessing to be a part of everything that, the young kids have got going on. Very talented group of kids. Just a blessing to be able to have a little bit of input, help out where I can help out, man. And we're excited about this year and what we have done for the school and for the community. I grew up playing football in the community from the Fillmore area. So, anything I can do to help out, that's what I'm going to do. And it's just been, it's been an exciting year. So we're looking forward to bringing this thing home.
Yeah. Hey, John, I think these guys are really shortchanging themselves, because Sacred Heart, it's a private school, and they do take chances, and they do let a lot of kids of color into their schools, and they, hired some people that look like their kid, our kids, to lead these young men this year. And They took a lot of lumps in the beginning of the year and a bunch of criticism. Myself as a coach, I hate when people criticize from the stands. These guys got to have some really thick skin as they went through the season, because they I think they had like 4 or 5 tough losses at the beginning of the year, but they never wavered, they never cracked. They took all the criticism, everything come that way. And I'm a coach myself, and that stuff can get irritating, but those guys stayed focused. They stayed with their eyes on the prize, and here they are in the state championship. And now I wonder where those guys are now, talking about these guys. Where they at now? We can't hear them now. Oh, they probably hear them a little bit, but I just want to say I'm just proud that these brothers has come together and these kids are playing for them, and the kids never quit, because I know anybody that can go 0-5 can say, man, let's try it for next year, or let's build on next year. But it seems to me, and I'm not around it, I just look from afar, that no one ever quit. And that's the mentality I'm sure they could talk about a little more than me. But I just want to say I'm proud of what they've done with these young men, because they got a lot of young men from Hunters Point, from the Fillmore, and all walks of life come together for one common goal, and that's just to win a championship. And for them to do it after that 0-5 start is just remarkable. And I just want to say kudos and good luck to them. And I also want to shout out to Balboa High too, because I believe they have a state game as well.
They do Saturday. Yeah, they do play Saturday.
So congrats to you guys as well.
Man, that's very powerful that you said that, Nate, because that was the next question that I was going to ask Rio and I was going to ask Mike. In these challenging times when we talk about, the community that our young folks come from, how do you get them to buckle down, right, and stay on that educational pathway? Because we know Sacred Heart is a very prestigious school. You have to have certain grade point average and a certain level of character and integrity to go to that school. And when we sometimes think that these kids who come from some of our impoverished neighborhoods or some of our difficult neighborhoods, as coaches, how do you reel them in and keep them focused and humble to do the things they do? Because a lot of times, they don't think it happens, and that's why I always commend Nate, because I know Nate's about winning, but I know he's also big about the classroom and making sure that work gets done and giving them those real talks and conversations. So how do you all do it over there to keep our young folks inspired and in the classroom, in the textbooks, when there's so many distractions and so many things happening in our city?
Right. So first, we did it ourselves. We right here from San Francisco, so we lead them by example. All of our coaches have a different careers, right? Coach Rio is a pastor and he's a barber. I'm a police officer. We got, our head coach is a bio teacher. So we lead them by example. So all we can do is just show them the way by, going to practice every day, being on time, being accountable, pushing them to their limits. And what a lot of these kids, they want to play college football, and we all play college football too. So we just guide them to get to the goal that they want to get to, right? We just using our tools, right? Like somebody gave it back to us once upon a time to get them to wherever they're trying to go to. So academics is important. We hard on academics, as you know, and they would tell you, you can't get recruited, without grades. So we hounded them about their grades. We hounded them about their attendance. We hounded them about their professionalism, right? To get them ready for next year. Some of these dudes are graduating this year and they'll enter the real world, but we're trying to get them a free education, get them an opportunity to see a different part of America and make new friends and maybe even find a family. So we're just glad that we're blessed that we can be a part of that, and we're just using the tool of football to do that.
Man. Appreciate that, Mike. Not quite a pastor. I'm a minister of my church, but I appreciate that. But yeah, man, it's about really building the trust and building relationships with these kids from my standpoint, because I'm not a coordinator or, I don't call the plays or anything like that. But when I have my moments to pull a player to the side, I'll pull them to the side and just talk to them and try to build a relationship with them and make sure I get to know who that player is, because, just getting there and they've been there, they played before, they had plenty of coaches. So it's all about them trusting you, right? So if you could trust me, right, and you can believe what I say, that you'll believe me when we on the field and we in between them trenches. You know what I mean? So if we could build a relationship with a kid, you can get them to run through a brick wall for you. We've seen the tears, we've seen them thinking we wasn't gonna win, You know, I've heard them say under their breath, man, I thought y'all was here to help us, you know, and it wasn't happening right away. But we all stuck through it and we made it this far. So, you know, like I said, we excited about winning this thing, man. We all a little nervous too, because we never been here before. I've never been to a state game, never coached in a state game. So it's a new experience for us as well. And we appreciate the support. I'm thankful to even be invited on this call. So thank you, Coach Mike, for sending me the link. And just being able to be involved in the community and stuff that's going on, man, that's a passion of mine. So it's really a blessing.
Yeah. I just question before y'all go. Just take us back to that 0-2, 0-3, 0-4. Then you got 0-5. Just take us back to that and give us your mindset. I know you guys' mindset. I know you guys never was giving up. But give me the state of the team, the morale, or you know where I'm going with this.
Absolutely. Hey, so we should go back before COVID season. Before we got there, Sacred Heart was 0-10. So if you add up the losses, they lost 15 straight. So it could have been easy for them to check out on us, right? We went 0-5. It could have been easy. There was times where I questioned myself as a coordinator too. Like, am I ready for this? Maybe I hopped in too quick. And, Nate said, we can hear the stuff in the crowd too. So we question ourselves too. So, but we just got to keep our faith. We keep praying and we stayed together. And looking back, I'm just amazed that we stayed together. We was 0-5. We could have really packed it in. Everybody could have packed it in, right? We could have started focusing on work, focusing on our family, focusing on our kids. But somehow, somewhere deep inside, we still knew we had a chance, right? And we knew the games that we had to win. Coach Mack set the schedule that gave us an opportunity to get to the playoffs. So 0-5 was tough. 0-5 was tough. We had a bye week, and I think we had a big win versus St. Ignatius, the city rival, and that kind of just sparked a little bit into us. But playing in the league that we play in, like this is, a lot of these kids are Division I players. It's no joke in this league. So we stayed the course. We stayed down. Our coaching staff really stayed together, and we kind of built each other's confidence, because it was days where we came in with our head down, right? And Coach Rio, like, it's gonna be all right, and we just had to go back and forth, but we really stuck together, and then the team stuck together, and now we in history, and I think we won the last 8 out of 10 games, so we on a roll, and we really plan to win this state championship. We really want to go down in history as one of the greatest 0-5 starts and the greatest team in San Francisco history. So that's where we aiming for. Our practices have been phenomenal. We've been having a good week. All the kids locked in. So Saturday, be there to see it live, though. We got some great players and a great staff.
I was just going to ask you that. So I'm terribly want to say I apologize, because I haven't been keeping up with all of the games, but I'm going to definitely jump on the YouTube and check some of the highlights out. But definitely I'll be out there. We was out there at Turkey Day representing. We did see Val take down Lincoln. But a couple of things that you all hit on that I think is just very, very important. Here at both sides of the conversation, we're always talking about leadership, right? And what does that mean? Because, so many definitions for leadership and what people think leadership is. And I always believe that leadership is really about demonstrating what's possible, right? So when I listen to you and Rio talking about, where y'all was at a mental state, having the young folks believe in that. And this is so important that you saying that, just believing in that confidence. How do you get because I'm always thinking, like, we're trying to do violence prevention in the community. We trying to do this. Like, how do we get to that point as leaders to really demonstrate that? And how do we keep that calm before the storm approaches? They say, for you all, like you said, it's so easy when you get in the early part of a season to lose players. But to do that, I mean, that's just kudos to y'all and y'all leadership, man. I can hear it in y'all voice. I'm excited. I'm like, I got to find out who's the players in offense and the defense. Who should the community be looking out for, rooting? Maybe one of those, underdog players that y'all, watch develop and grow that. Because I want to go out there. I like to cheer for the kids who maybe didn't have the best start, or if Nate say, we coached them up. They get those basketball players and don't know really all of the stuff, but then, you watch them start coming into their own. Who is that player on y'all team or players that community should be looking out that's just coming into their own, into a zone now?
Real, you want to go? You can name one.
Name one of the players?
Yeah.
Or name them all.
Y'all got so many.
What you want me to do?
He said, name the underdogs. Name some of your linebackers in that core that,
Oh, man, we got Jabari. Roy
Yeah.
Ryan, a great one. Jerry Mixon. We all know Jerry Mixon is superstar talent. Sky's the limit for that kid. Bruce, young Bruce is an animal. Um, I mean D3, Derek Reagan, Ray John Spears. You want me to name them all, Mike? These are your guys, but we got some
That's all
guys.
good.
Eric Bosch
Yeah,
at
y'all name
corner.
them all.
Eric Bosch at corner. Feliciano, his dad's a coach up at City College. He's a good player, good baller. Come on, man, I'm getting old,
Yeah.
so now I
No,
done named
no,
a few.
no,
Mike, you gotta
we got a bunch
I
of
take
we got
those.
a,
I take those few. I mean, but on the
R.L.
defensive
Miller,
side,
R.L. Miller, man, a standout guy who really, he wasn't. I would say he wasn't that superstar that he is now. In the beginning of the season, he wasn't that until his position changed and became one of the top receivers, I believe, in the WCAL. Once he became that guy, he really kind of turned the energy of our whole team around, and he's truly a leader. He's only in 11th grade.
How much do
And
he weigh? About 120?
man, he I hope
no,
he's about 200
no,
pounds, but
yeah,
No
he
he
got.
about
way.
he about
We want
180.
him
No
to be
But
about
way.
hey,
200. We want him to be
he
200, but
he
he
gonna
probably
build the
is.
frame. Yeah, he'll build the
Yeah, he
frame.
probably a
He's
good like
6'2" though. So
185, but he's 6'2". But he's a load. He's a load. He's a
How
Bruce,
about
hammer.
that number
He's a good
11?
kid too.
What's the number 11 name?
That's
Bruce
Bruce.
He catch
Superacia.
everything.
Yeah, he's an amazing player though. One of our Polynesian players, man. He brings a lot of energy. Play both sides of the ball. You know, first team all league. So great players. But I tell you, we got a group, just a phenomenal group though. And right now we playing our best football. Right, if you catch us early in the season, we had some kids out in the summer for different reasons. But right now, you know, everybody is clicking. So if you come out on Saturday, y'all be proud. Like, we're not gonna go out there and wet the bed. We plan to put on a show, man, for San Francisco.
so what
For
about the
sure.
quarterback? Y'all know when we talk about
Yeah.
football, it's always the quarterback because it looked like my 49ers need a new quarterback. What y'all
Right.
got going on at the quarterback position, man? I need to know.
Absolutely. So one of our former Rebels, still as a current Rebel, basketball player, Ray John Spears, though, just one of the best athletes that ever came through San Francisco. As an offensive coordinator, he makes my job a little bit easier because I can basically almost install things that they're doing in college, right? With a run pass option, he's able to pick it up and make it happen. And sometimes he do some things that just shock me, and I call it Ray Magic, right? So he's a phenomenal player, phenomenal athlete. He'll play Division I football, basketball. He'll have his pickings at the end of the year. Great grades. I think his GPA right now is a 3.5. So he'll be recruited. And Nate's been working with him for a long time. So you know exactly about Ray.
Man, see that's the thing. Good coaching. See, Nate, when you have coaches like Nate for that transition, it makes it easy, Nate.
I know nothing about no football, so I have to be the first one to tell you. That's why I'm just a coach, and I don't, you know. Again, I just want to commend just the whole coaching staff because, and I swear to God, I want to say something. That's why I stay home and watch y'all two little commentators on YouTube. Them the best commentators around. I love watching from home, but sometimes I went to 2 games this season so far. Y'all 2-0 when I'm there. The last 2, but I just like the way you guys don't. You know, and you probably burn up in stand because I hear some of the comments, man. I'll be ready to go in the stands, but I love the way y'all keep y'all demeanor and keep the kids focused because I'm sure during that 0-5 time, man, some players probably weren't telling people to shut up or whatever or in the stands, and y'all just kept it all together. This is a remarkable season that, like, I don't think no one really can really, grasp yet. Win or lose, this was a phenomenal season. I don't care what anybody say. They can't take the NorCal championship away because y'all got that. Is that the first one in history of the school?
I believe so. So we got the
right?
CCS. I think it was the second CCS section title, and I think NorCal was just the first one in for sure to be the first state title.
Well, now you're going for the state. You guys win that state, John. Me and you got to go knock on Mrs. Breed's door and make sure that we got a parade for them down at City Hall. That's for sure.
Yeah,
man,
absolutely.
we definitely be doing that. That is something huge. I just want to say, thank you all, man, for what y'all doing with our young folks. I think right now more than ever, especially the young men in our community, needs this type of support. We need community folks like you all to just, put that love and that discipline into our young folks and give them that life, that real talk, and just help them build them up, the confidence of who they are. Very, very phenomenal stuff. But yes, we will come out there. I will be out there. I'm in the city all day. I got a bunch of events. I will stop by, check out the game. And I promise you tonight, while I'm sitting there with my 2 hours of sleep, while I'm doing work, I'll put on the Sacred Heart highlight reels of the year and kind of look at some of the season that's been going on, so that when I come out there, I know what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Thank you,
yeah.
Nate.
Appreciate it.
Coaches, y'all got like a little football combine. Won't you tell us about that before you go?
Oh, just all of us, we do private training on the side. So for me, no kid to be denied for any financial issues. We can work it out. It can be $5, $20. It doesn't matter, right? It's just about giving back. So there's my Twitter, Coach Mike Hill SF. I do training pretty much all across the country. I'm in Texas a lot, Los Angeles, working with college players and some professional players. So I'm here in San Francisco, and I'm available. So once the season's over, we got to focus this week on the state championship. We on about 2 or 3 hours of sleep too, watching film. But once we're done with this, it's showtime.
Man, definitely. And Mike, before you all cut out Rio and any other coaches that's on there, if y'all want to put y'all training information or websites on there, go ahead, so that we can get it up there for community, for our parents who have young folks who are getting into sports or need that conditioning and training throughout the off season. We'll definitely promote that for you. And if you all have any flyers, any digital flyers that y'all would like to send us for any upcoming camps or anything that you all are doing, please send it to our Both Sides of the Conversation, the events. It's a event, BSOTC at events. And we'll make sure that we get that out on all of our social media handles. There are always parents who have young folks who are trying to get them, into those personal training sessions and things of that nature as they get ready for their upcoming season, whether it's track, basketball, whatever that they're doing. So definitely I want to make sure that we connect them with you, because here at Both Sides of the Conversation, we believe on making sure we support our Black and brown businesses and make sure that we patronize you all. So we want to get that information out. But before we go, if there's anything else y'all want to say, if y'all want to shout out any of y'all players, coaches, principals, leadership, whatever, now's the time to do it before we bring up our next hidden gem for tonight.
Right. Everybody at SHC, everybody in San Francisco, we need y'all Saturday, December 11th, 6 p.m. at our house, Kezar. Show LA what time it is, and I hope to see y'all all there.
Yes, sir. Go Irish. Let's go, everybody.
All right, we'll be out there. Go Irish community. Let's go out and support it. We got a championship on the line. Let's show up in the Bay. Come on over to Kezar and have a good night and watch a good game with some phenomenal young folks and these amazing coaches here. Looking forward to seeing y'all this weekend. Good luck. Win or lose, you are still champions. So we'll be out there to support you. Thank you all very much for showing up today. All right. With that being said, we're going to bring up a phenomenal attorney that's going to talk about real estate, estate planning. Very, very important information that I think community is going to be happy to hear about when we're talking about estate planning and things of that nature. We're going to bring up Glenn Westaff, and then I'm going to try to get up his slides as he's introducing himself to the community. With that being said, Brother Glenn, come on up and talk to the people.
Can you see me?
Nope, your camera is not working. You want to, let me see if we get your camera going. You got to hit your camera function and get the camera active. All right, there we go. Give me 1 second. You could go ahead and introduce yourself, talk about a little bit about it, and give me 1 second to get this PowerPoint presentation that you emailed over.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with everybody and appreciate you taking some time to spend with us. Hopefully what we talk about tonight will be valuable for everybody. I'm an attorney. I'm from Southern California, born and raised in Santa Ana. If most of you know where that is, it's right in the middle of Orange County. My mom was a first generation immigrant from El Salvador. And so I've had the opportunity to grow up in Southern California and just kind of see a lot of different things. I knew early on that I wanted to go into law, but I never thought I wanted to go into estate planning. And it's just seemed like such a boring area And why would anybody really focus on that, right? And so a lot of times when we hear about estate planning, that's kind of where we roll our eyes back a little bit, because we think, oh, well, that's for the wealthy. That's for somebody who has a mansion, who's a millionaire. Why do I need to worry about estate planning? And what I found when I got into it was that every family situation is different, and it's so critical for every single one of us to have a plan in place that I fell in love with it. And so I've been doing this for quite a while now. I'm the managing partner for actually the largest estate planning firm in the country, Intervivos. And we work with clients in pretty much all 50 states. And so what we're going to talk about today is just some of the basics, and hopefully some of the things that will be valuable as you think about planning for your own personal situations and for your family. And so we'll jump into it. So anything that we should start with, John, before we jump into the
1 second, we're trying to get the slides up, but I definitely want to talk about with this estate planning. One of the things that I really want community to know about is the difference between the will and the trust, and why is it important to have both of them, right? Sometimes in our community, the cheaper route is getting a will, right? But we also know if you just have a will without the trust, you still go to probate court and things of that nature. And why is it important when we talk about the medical decision making, and when we talking about generational wealth, trying to pass the generational wealth? Here at both sides of the conversation, we are very, very active and being intentional about making sure that we get the right people to come on and educate our community about financial literacy, and making sure that they get the right information for insurance. Sometimes in our community, we don't have the right means to protect ourselves, and we really want to learn, make sure they understand why this insurance protection and wills and trusts is so important to pass on generational wealth, and why it's important to reach out to a estate planning lawyer to make sure that everything is set up for the state or the city that they're located, to make sure that their family is protected. So many times when our family members die, especially during COVID, some of our elders, the grandmothers of the family, or sometimes the mothers of the family, pass away, right? And really not having that information in order. And then, they're in probate court, and sometimes the courts walk away with a lot of the financial benefits of what was left from the hard work of those families. And we want to stop that here at both sides of the conversation. And that's why it was important to get you here to really talk about this estate planning, and really educating the folks about why have it, why have the wills and the trust, and very, very important stuff. That's what we really want to get out of it. And I see Mary has our slides up ready in a minute, but if you want to talk about it, or if you want to jump into the slides and then come back, we could do that as well.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. In the early 1900s, everybody knew the Rockefellers and they knew the Carnegies, and this is one of the stories we share often. That after John D. Rockefeller died, and after the Carnegies passed away, there's the wealthiest families in the country, and one of them still has their wealth, and another one within 2 generations, basically all the wealth was lost, right? And we're seeing the first generations of Black and brown millionaires, right? And the question's going to be whether that wealth gets transferred, right? So we work for our entire life. We build up some level of success, some level of prosperity. Maybe we have some, real estate. Maybe we have some savings. And the intention is to leave that for the next generation, to help them to have a little bit of a step up so that they can be in a better spot. And unfortunately, without proper planning, that doesn't happen, right? I remember growing up, there were people that came around asking for money because they had a loved one pass away. And that was the only way that they knew to be able to gather the money for the funeral costs, right? And so, it's heartbreaking, but when you don't plan ahead of time, especially in a society like ours where everything is so expensive, right? Funeral costs are expensive. The costs of going through the court system are expensive. The costs of having to deal with, even just trying to find what's there and get access to it. Sometimes there's, it just takes a while. And so we've heard a lot of heartbreaking stories of people who just didn't have access to the resources. And in the meantime, they ended up losing value that they would have received in their inheritance. And sometimes it's not because anybody's fighting. Sometimes it is, right? And that's the worst too, is, none of us want conflicts in the family when we're gone. But without proper planning, a lot of times that's exactly what happens. And it's not necessarily because it's over the money. It's over the hard feelings. It's over well, mom said this. No, well, she told me this, right? And because it doesn't match and it's not in writing and there's nothing legal to fall back on, then we have these problems. And so unfortunately, in today's world, without a proper plan, a lot of families end up in the GoFundMe sort of plan, right? And that's definitely what we want to avoid. So, well, let's talk about some of the basics. The very basic document that we recommend for practically everybody, regardless of what your situation is. And I know a lot of times people think, well, I don't have a lot. Maybe I'm not even married. I don't have any kids. Why do I need to think about this? The reality is that there's basic documents that you need to have to protect yourself in the case of emergencies, regardless of what your situation is. So my sister, for example, was in her second year of college. She wasn't married. She didn't have any kids. She didn't really own any property. Most people would have said she didn't need to have an estate plan at that point in her life, but she found herself unconscious in the hospital, right? Hospital calls my parents and they say, do you have a medical directive? Do you have a healthcare power of attorney? Do you have a HIPAA authorization? And of course, like 80% of Americans, they didn't. And so they had to say no. And the hospital said, well, we can't tell you anything, but your daughter's here. And why does that happen? Because there's a law called HIPAA, right? HIPAA prevents the medical facility from sharing your private medical information. If you're 18, you're an adult, and you don't have anything in writing authorizing them to share it, right? And so unfortunately, my parents had to travel for 2.5 hours to get to the hospital. Finally, my sister regained consciousness and she could get permission. Everything turned out okay. It doesn't always go that way, right? And that's a very stressful situation. So on a very, very basic level, we want to have some medical directives, healthcare powers of attorney, right? Those documents empower somebody to make decisions and to receive private medical information in case something happens to you. And then the same thing on the financial side. I'm married. My wife, if she goes to the bank and she says, my husband has an account here, I want to withdraw some money, are they going to let her withdraw the money? Only if she's on the account, right? So if she's not authorized on the account, she's not going to be able to access it. So I have a close friend of mine that was accused of a crime. He ends up having to go to jail. While he's in jail, and there's a business owner, right? He has about $300,000 of collectible, money from his clients that he could have gotten access to, but his wife's not part of the business. She's not on the accounts. She didn't have access to any of it. So his kids, they need to eat, they need to pay rent, they need to take care of things. They don't have access to anything. And we had to help him to get a financial power of attorney in place to give him authorization over the account so that they could actually have money to be able to work with, right? And sometimes these crises come up, and because we don't have the right documents, it mushrooms into something worse. But if you have the right documents in place, then you can empower those that you care about to enforce their rights, because they can't enforce their rights if they don't have the right documents to be able to do it, right? So on a very basic level, a financial power of attorney and a medical power of attorney or medical directive are what we recommend for practically everybody. And then once you have minor children, it's extremely important to have a last will and testament. Why? Because that's where you name and nominate the guardian for your children. If you don't nominate the guardian for your kids, then the state is going to do it for you, right? And sometimes what the state decides isn't what you would have decided. It's not what you would have wanted. And so at the end of the day, a lot of times we've seen situations, and I'll share one story in just a second, but we've seen situations where the state says any interested party can step in and take care of your kids. That there may be some interested parties in your family that you don't want raising your kids. That makes sense? So unless you put that in writing, they're not going to have a say. They're not going to have a voice, right? And so we saw a situation in Southern California, young couple. They had 2 young kids. Grandma was taking care of them for the weekend. They went down across the border for just for a vacation, and they were on their way back. And tragically, both of them were they were in a car accident. Both of them passed away. So now these 2 young kids need a guardian, need somebody to take care of them. And Grandma knew that that's what her son would have wanted. She knew that her son would have wanted her to raise the kids. So she nominates herself to the court, and she says, I'm willing to be the guardian. And the judge refused to give the kids to her. He said, you're living on Social Security. You live in a 1-bedroom apartment. You can't take care of these kids. We're not going to give them to you, right? So instead, the kids go into the foster care system for 2.5 months while the family comes together to try to decide who the court will accept. And luckily, finally they decided on one of the aunts The aunt was accepted because she was single, she had a good high-paying job, she owned a house, but she never wanted to have kids. So, what kind of a life are they going to have? That's not what the parents would have wanted, but they didn't get to have a voice because the judge was the one that got to decide because they didn't have any documents, right? So it's extremely important to nominate the guardian for your children. Probably the most important thing you can do in your estate plan is to nominate the guardian for your minor children. And it's even more important if you happen to have special needs children, because if they're qualifying for any disabilities, they may lose those disability or those benefits. Sorry, if they qualify for benefits, they may lose those benefits if they don't have a proper plan. But the other thing is that the state will consider itself an interested party. And we all know, we could just watch the news, right? See how good the state is at taking care of kids, right? And so don't rely on that, because the state will consider itself an interested party if you don't have documents in place already. And then, in just a second, we'll talk about why it's important to have a trust, because once you have children and you have real estate, then that's when we recommend having a trust. And the biggest reason is to avoid the court system, like you talked about.
Man, very, very important stuff. I am glad you are here, community. I hope you are listening. Very, very important information, especially when you're talking about, who's going to be responsible for taking care of our youth and our loved ones. Very important stuff. I personally understand the ugliness of losing folks. I just lost my mom a couple of months ago, just lost my uncle, Thanksgiving Eve. And let me tell you, when you don't have your paperwork in order, it can definitely cause tragedy in the family. And, whatever it is, when people die, people get ugly. And no matter what mama said, if it ain't in writing, it is a problem. But definitely happy that you are here. Want to make sure that this information get out. But we do have your PowerPoint up and ready. I'll go ahead and pull it up, and then you could go ahead and talk with our team and just let us know as you want to scroll through each slide, and then we'll take you through, and then we'll grab any questions or comments as they're coming in from the community.
Sure. So let's jump ahead. Yeah, just right there. So the three things that we always recommend in an estate plan is you want to address what we call a life plan, address the health and welfare, right, of the family, make sure that things are in place so that decisions can be made and so that things can be handled without any problems. And then you want to have what we call a transfer plan. And that is to make sure that, and we'll talk about it in just a second, like we were talking about earlier, but to make sure that things transfer without any problems, without having to go through the court system, without having to worry about, any hiccups along the way. And then finally, what we call a family plan, because every family is unique, every situation is different, and we need to make sure that those relationships are preserved. That's the most important. I mean, nobody looks at their estate or at their wealth or at their, what they have, and they say, you know what, the most important thing to me is to make sure that this money lasts. Everybody on their deathbed is going to say, the most important thing to me is that the family gets along, that there's not fighting, that there's not, problems between those relationships, right? And so we want to preserve that and address that as part of the planning. So sometimes, we go on to the next slide, sometimes when we think of estate planning, it all gets jumbled up because there's so many things we hear about. We hear about trusts and wills, and well, I heard that you need to have an irrevocable trust because of this, and I heard that you need to have, power of attorney to, and all these different things that we hear about. But sometimes they get jumbled up in our mind because they're confusing, right? And so the idea is you don't need to understand all of it. You just need to get to the basics. And again, part of the basics are having financial power of attorney, medical directives or medical powers of attorney in place, because those are going to empower somebody in the case of an emergency to be able to make the necessary decisions while you're still alive, but if you're unable to do it yourself, right? And then when you pass away, if you just have a will, then your will has to go through the court system. Your will go through probate. It's a necessity because the court will have to follow what the will says, and they have to validate what the will says in order to do that. That's the process of probate. So we can avoid probate if you have a properly structured trust. So some of the things that we want to address, first of all, in the trust plan is your life plan. So one of the biggest difference between a will and a trust is that a will is a testamentary instrument. That means that it doesn't do anything until after you die, whereas a trust is a living document. That means it starts protecting things right away, right? So we go on to the next slide. So, think about this for just a second. 85% of deaths occur in hospitals and nursing homes. They say that 75% or 72% of us or more are going to need long-term care at some point in our lives. So if we don't plan around how we're going to pay for care, or we don't have documents in place to be able to allow us to qualify for programs that are out there to allow us to, to pay for care, or if we don't have the right documents in place, then that becomes very scary, right? We've seen a lot of situations, even with early onset Alzheimer's sort of situations, where documents were not in place properly. And one of our clients, for example, her husband in his mid 40s ended up getting dementia and Alzheimer's, and it was a really tragic sort of situation. And he had gotten married about 5 years before. They had a young girl, daughter that lived with them. And the grandma, or in other words, his mom, was named on his power of attorney. He never updated it when he got married, right? And so now grandma's in control of all the money. Well, for whatever reason, she didn't like the wife, right? And so she's refusing to provide money, refusing to allow them to have, the resources that they need to be able to take care of his health and to be able to take care of the daughter, right? It turns into a nightmare. So not only should you have these documents, but you want to make sure that you update them regularly, right? In the case of incapacity, it's very important to have the right documents, and it's also very important to plan around how you're going to pay for that. And another thing that comes up during your lifetime that you need, protection for is asset protection. If you've accumulated some level of wealth, whether that's, maybe a real estate property, maybe that's a little bit of savings, maybe you have a business that you've sold, that puts a target on your back. I mean, we're in a very litigious society, right? And so we had this, little old lady. She's in her 80s. She's still driving, and maybe she shouldn't be. Who knows? But she was in a minor car accident. She ended up hitting somebody, and the next thing she knew, right, there was this guy that was working on the car. He got hit. It was a minor injury. He went to the hospital. They turned him away at first, but he went to another hospital, and it turns out that he had some injuries. But the next thing she knew, she got sued by two people: the person that she hit and somebody who was on the sidewalk watching the accident, right? That happens. And so, and the reason was because they found out that she owned a rental property that she rented out. But she's not rich. She doesn't have a lot of money, but she has a rental property in her name. And so the attorney that got to her, that was looking at, the personal injury claim, said, oh, this person has some money, we should go after her, right? So it's important to take away that target off your back. And sometimes it's very easy to do that through a trust plan, or to own your assets through, structures that will provide you that protection. So if you just have a will, your will won't do anything for you until after you die. But if you have a trust plan, it starts protecting things during your lifetime, right? And that's one of the main goals. Can we skip ahead to 2 slides from here? So the next part is what we call a transfer plan. And this is the part that most people think about when you think about a trust or a will or your estate plan, is you think, well, what's going to happen after I die? How are things going to get transferred, right? Who's it going to go to, and how are they going to use it, right? And you get to decide those things in your will. But if you just have a will, it's going to have to go through probate. So probate can take a long time. It can be very expensive. It can cause a lot of stress on the family. We heard a story about these 2 young kids that were in New York, and mom was from the Philippines. She was she was a nurse, and she was kind of the mainstay for the family. You all know what that's like, right? When you're kind of the anchor person for the family, everybody kind of relied on her, right? And she was great at that role. And she had a strong, stable sort of job up in New York. She was earning good money, and all of a sudden, she ended up being diagnosed with cancer, and she had to go through cancer treatment. And because of the nature of the treatment and the way that she was trying to survive, she ended up spending all of their money, all the excess money that they had, all the excess, savings and everything else that they had saved up. And when it got to the point where she was going to pass away, there was so much stress, so much different, issues on her mind that she forgot to keep paying for her life insurance. So that went away. And the last thing that they had, really, last asset, was their home. And she told the kids, you know what, it's going to be hard. After I pass away, you're going to need to find a way to pay the mortgage so that you can keep this house, right? But unfortunately, the two kids were young teenagers, 14-year-old and a 16-year-old, right? They didn't know what to do and how to do it. And so when she passed, they were on the street begging, trying to come up with the money. They went to an attorney to try to find out how they could get access to the assets and transfer title to their name, refinance, do something. And they couldn't figure it out because the attorney said, pretty much everybody that they talked to said, well, we need this much money in order to help you. So they were trying to collect the money to be able to go through the probate process. In the meantime, the bank was saying, we're going to foreclose on you, right? So the house got foreclosed on. They lost the house. They couldn't claim, any money in accounts because they couldn't go through the probate process. Next thing you know, they're on the streets, homeless, right? And finally, one of them couldn't take it anymore. The daughter, she was 14, and she found one of her friends from school that she was able to then have them take her in and raise her for the rest of her high school years. And meanwhile, the brother was on the streets until he was of age, right? Such a sad situation, and it's crazy that even happens in today's world, but it does, right? And so, in order to avoid that, because the probate process especially is a very confusing, sometimes difficult process. In some states, easier than other states. If you're in California, it's one of the worst states for probate. It can take 2.5 years. It can cost a lot of money because it's a statutory fees, right? And it can cause a lot of stress on the family. And we've seen situations where even when nobody was fighting, even when everybody got along and it was only one asset, it was only the house, that the probate still took a long time and cost a lot of money, and the family ended up with a fraction of what they would have had if they didn't have to go through probate. So the best way to avoid probate is to have a properly structured revocable living trust plan. And your trust basically allows you to nominate somebody to be in charge of making decisions and manage your assets in case you can't do it for yourself, right? And they step into your shoes without having to go through the court system. And then they can manage everything that's in the trust and make sure that it transfers according to your wishes. So can we jump ahead 2 slides? So the last part of the plan is that we need to have a family plan. And that means that we need to plan around the specific family relationships and the needs that your loved ones have, right? So not just have a plan, but also make sure that plan fits your situation, right? And a lot of people will just go online and do it yourself, and that may be a way to save costs. But at the end of the day, you won't know whether you did it properly until after you pass away, and that's a scary prospect, right? We've seen a lot of plans that were either done wrong or that weren't updated properly, and then in the end, they didn't do what the client or what the person wanted it to do, and it ends up causing problems, right? And so it's important to sit with a competent professional that can walk you through what your needs are and help you to make sure that you know and that you have what you need. But then it's important to consider your specific family situation, make it clear to whoever's going to be involved, whether that's the kids, the grandkids, maybe it's close family friends, that they know what the plan is and who's going to be in charge, right? And if the kids don't get along, we have a situation right now that we're in probate, and some of the siblings are really causing problems for the other siblings, and really there's no reason for it other than bad blood. But at the end of the day, the parents put all 4 of the siblings together as trustees. They wanted them to work together, but they knew that they didn't get along. It was not a good decision to put everybody to work together because they were never going to be able to work together. They already had conflicts, right? If you know that that's the case, we need to avoid that and consider your specific family needs and family situation to avoid those problems, right? And so just a few things to think about. Hopefully this is something that kind of gets those juices flowing, but we see it all the time that families don't have sufficient planning. And because they don't have sufficient planning, then the wealth or the assets in the family are lost. And it's sad, but sometimes it can't be put back together after the fact. So this is definitely something you want to do proactively before the problems happen. And I think at this point, it's probably good to maybe open it up for some questions, or John, I don't know if you have any feedback that you wanted to share.
No, I think it's been great information. People are watching and listening in the audience. I'm sure they're taking notes. People are saying this is very important information. But if you want to keep going through the slide, or are you getting close to the end, I would prefer you to, go through, and I can get you some questions at the end.
Yeah, I think there's one more or two more, and then we can wrap up. So, when we approach planning, we want to make planning as accessible and affordable as possible. And so instead of compromising on quality, right, we want to make sure that we can get a process that can make the planning as affordable as possible. So we have payment plans for some of our more complex planning, and then we also have a process that streamlines. See, if you went to an attorney 30 plus years ago and you sat down with them and had them do your plan, they had to pull out their typewriters and they have to type it up new every single time, right? That's not how it is nowadays. Now we can leverage technology, so we can get the planning very streamlined, very affordable, without taking too much of the attorney time. And so when we have attorneys across the country that can assist, regardless of what state clients are in, but the idea is to provide them with a quality process, so that they're not just working with a paralegal or with somebody who doesn't understand what their needs might be, but we're getting them the documents that they need at an affordable price, and making sure that things are taken care of so that they have the peace of mind that they need for the future. So can we go to the next slide? So a lot of times, actually, let's jump over this one. So a lot of times when people sit down and they look at their planning, they don't realize that, financial planning, estate planning, they go hand in hand. And the wealthy have a process where we call it a family office, right? Where they actually have their CPA, and they have their family attorney, and they have their financial advisors, and they all sit down on a quarterly basis or more often, and they handle things for them, right? Well, the middle class, lower class, we don't get that opportunity very often. But one of the things that we're doing, and we're partnering with a lot of the advisors that we work closely with, and if you're interested in sitting down and having a conversation, then one of our partners will be the one to coordinate that, Dr. Johnson. But at the end of the day, what we want to be able to help with is to bring that same process to Middle America. Help you to be able to sit down and say, okay, you know what? I want to make sure that I have peace of mind in regards to my finances. My family's going to be okay if something happens to me. I have insurance in place. I have savings in place. I have, I've taken care of how I'm going to pay for long-term care and so on. And also, I have maybe a tax professional. Maybe you do your own taxes, but I have an idea of whether I'm paying too much in taxes and how to minimize that, and how to make sure that my family's not going to get taxed after I'm gone. And then finally, the legal documents, and we can bring that sort of process to, even in a very simple sort of situation, to a very common family, and make sure that they're taken care of if something does happen. So that's kind of our approach. And at the end of the day, I think that this is something that's very needed in our community. And so anyway, that's what we have to share. I think that's the last slide. But anybody has questions, feel free to reach out. And again, we can help in all 50 states. And the number that's flashing across the screen here with Dr. Johnson will be the point person for coordinating any of those appointments.
Man, thank you very much. This was helpful information, definitely for me in the community. I am sure that we'll be getting some folks connected with Dr. Leah Johnson. This is a very important topic for our community, especially with all of the laws. We have COVID, different things are happening that impact our families. And the last thing we want to do is lose our wealth through the process of probate and some of the things that take place in our community so many times. Because again, if we don't have these processes in place, community, you heard from Glenn earlier talking about, if it's not in writing, it's really not there. And I know sometimes, the eldest kids or the youngest kids, sometimes, well, mama said this or grandma said this. But if it's not in the documentation, it's not in the paperwork, very, very important information. And I'm glad you really broke down and articulated the difference between a will and a trust, because sometimes in our community, for whatever reason, we think we have a will and that's everything. And that's just really, like you said, after the person has passed. But when we have people living, it is important to have these protections in place as we going through. And I think you hit on it earlier, and we've been hitting on it here at both sides of the conversation. GoFundMe is not an insurance policy. We have to get out of that, and I'm glad, that you really talked about, connecting with Dr. Johnson and your network, because I also think sometimes in our community, from the past, like you said, lawyers having to do things with a typewriter, the amount of cost it used to be to set these processes up sometimes could be, economical impacting in some of our communities,
Well, and it's scary too, because there's a long history of professionals, especially high cost professionals, taking advantage of people, right? And we see it. It's still out there, right? Where people, get convinced that they need to spend a lot of money on an attorney and fight and that sort of thing within the family, and nobody wins in the end. The family doesn't win, right? The attorney's the only one that wins, and so we want to make sure that we make it as affordable as possible. But the most important part of that is proactive planning. Have it in place beforehand, before you avoid the problems.
Definitely. In our community, we're here at both sides of the conversation. We call that poverty pimping. People that are taking advantage of our folks, that sometimes don't know. And we have a lot of those poverty pimps in our community. We're trying to run them out every day. But this information is very, very important. And I definitely want to share these services and information with our community. Tonight's segment is a little different. And I know you were very busy, and we really appreciate you. Want to let you know, thank you for being able to pull it together to come tonight. Typically, our Educational Thursday is where these presentations happen, that people are looking forward to being educated with the community. But tonight was a night that we was able to get you here, and we'll still get this information out to the community, but definitely in the future here and next year as we come into the new year, right? Because everybody's always planning for the new year and things of that nature. We definitely want to get you and your team to come back on one of our Educational Thursdays to do another presentation, because I think this is very, very important information. I mean, this is very important tonight. I don't want you to get it wrong, but typical nights on our shows, we have different folks paying attention, and tuning in, because this is really our highlighted night. But this was great information. I'm excited to do some follow-up with you and Dr. Johnson. I know she's been on here before talking about financial literacy, and very, very important information. We're going to continue to do our part here too at both sides of the conversation, and continue to educate our community and bring these type of folks here, you all, to get this information to our community to help us. But go ahead, Glenn, if you want to jump in there.
Yeah, I definitely see the value to getting the word out. And, we hear it all the time that people just say, I just didn't know how important this was. And especially, when we sit down with people that maybe they've even done planning in the past, but they just haven't updated it. They haven't thought about it for a long time. And we've seen situations where people come in and they say, I did my trust plan years ago. We look at it, and they had their neighbors on there because that was the only people that they knew and trusted at the time. And they haven't talked to them in years, right? They're the ones that are named to take care of the kids, to take care of the assets and the house and everything. And you just don't want that to happen, because when the problems come, and by the way, there's two things that none of us can avoid: death and taxes, right? So eventually it's going to come. We just want to make sure that things are as smooth as possible at that point.
Man, definitely very, very important stuff. Community, they have a YouTube channel up, the Legacy Planning Network. Please go check out the YouTube and get information from there as well. But if you are a community member and you are looking for these type of services, this COVID has happened. If you have experienced death, or maybe you have some folks in your family that are getting up in age, or maybe you have a bunch of siblings that's all around the United States, and your parents is getting up in age, or maybe there's health conditions that are starting to impact the elders of the family, please reach out to Dr. Johnson, connect with Glenn. Let's start thinking so we can be intentional and proactive, as he said, in the planning. I call it preventive. We have to start preventing. Too many times in the Black and brown community, we are reactive. We come to action when things happen, and that's why sometimes it really impacts our community. So I want to make sure that our community does the right thing and being intentional, being prepared and doing the preventative work and being proactive, as Glenn said. Please, community, think about this legacy planning. Think about this estate planning. Find a way to connect your family, your community folks, our elders in the community. Let's get this information out to our community so that we can make sure that our families are protected now more than ever. The little generational wealth that sometimes our community folks have, we want to be able to pass it on to the next generation and give them a head start in the race, as they say. Pass the baton the right way. Don't hold all of the information back. We want to uplift our communities, and it starts with financial literacy. It starts with estate planning, and it starts thinking about the overall financial dynamics that impact our community. Economic power is what we're pushing for in the Black and Brown community, and it starts with setting up your legacy plan, and it starts with this estate planning as well as the financial literacy. Brother Glenn, thank you for coming on, being so patient, being humble to just move things around on your schedule. I know it's been Renata's been going back and forth trying to get this set up. We really appreciate this. This was great, valuable information to our community. Way to have you come on here and highlight the work that you all are doing and connecting with Dr. Johnson. And we are looking forward to getting your team back here again to impact our community. It is the holiday, so people are traveling, things are happening, and sometimes we just need to have a replay, as they say, a reset. So I'm looking forward to seeing you and Dr. Johnson them come back on after the new year sometime when you're available. I want you all to come back on an Educational Thursday when people are out of the holiday spirit, getting back into the physical year and getting ready for all of the amazing things that's going to take place in 2022, because we're going to claim it. There's going to be some great things that's going to happen in the Black and Brown community. We're going to build wealth. We're going to build businesses. We're going to build unity in our community, and it starts with information and education. That's what we're going to keep doing here at both sides of the conversation. So thank you again for coming on. We are looking forward to connecting with you. And if any of our community folks reaches out to us and they're not able to get a hold of Dr. Johnson, we'll make sure that we connect them with you all and make sure that you all take care of them. And that's the biggest thing here at both sides of the conversation. When we invite folks, when it comes to financial literacy and planning to come on here, we hold you accountable and make sure that you are putting our people in the right plans and the right things that's going to impact the further future generations of our community. So thank you again for giving your time up, and we appreciate having you here tonight.
Thanks again for the invite. It's great to be here with everybody. And if you do reach out, don't feel worried about any commitment, because the consultation is free. Normally, we would charge a few $100s for a consultation. Because you're coming as a referral, let us know that you heard about it from both sides of the conversation or through Dr. Johnson, and there's no cost for that consultation. We want to make sure that you have the information you need to make informed decisions.
All right. Thank you very much. You are now no longer a hidden gem in our community. We're going to get our community folks reaching out. We'll get some presentations set up for you to talk to other community folks within our network. So looking forward to reaching out. Thanks again for tuning in tonight and being a part of the show tonight, Brother Glenn.
All right. Take care.
All right. Have a good evening. All right, community. With that being said, this was another powerful night here at both sides of the conversation, our hidden gem segment. This week has been a lot going on, a lot of ups and downs coming out of the Thanksgiving holiday as we start approaching Kwanzaa and the Christmas holiday. A lot of people are traveling, moving. Again, some of our programming is going to change at the end of the month here as we get prepared for our holiday season. We'll be taking a short break. We will have some sponsored events that will be taking place. But if you don't see us here, don't think we went away. Don't think it's over. We're just getting ready for the next year launch as we are revamping both sides of the conversation. We are getting close. I'm just excited. It's been some ups and downs and it's been some hurdles, but we're getting there. Again, the new website has launched. We'll be having a launch party real soon, but we wanted to get it out there and start getting our folks in the community used to utilizing the new website. There's a number of things that we are still touching up, fixing bugs, correcting as we going through, but the only way we can find out the issues or what's going on with the site is we need you, the community, to log on, play around with the website, click around, ask questions, subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll continue to adjust and make all of the proper adjustments needed so that we can better impact our community, connect with our community. There's a number of surveys and different things that we're going to be doing to access our community, to find out what's needed. How can we support you? What is needed? Sometimes people feel in the community this information is not getting across to the appropriate people, and we want to help that. We want to be that bridge. That's what we are here for, to bring the resources to the people. We will continue to bless our people through this platform and through the work that we do in the community with our community partners, as we're going to get ready for a whole highlighted year of 2022. Phenomenal Sunday conversations and some amazing educational Thursdays and hidden gems coming up as we are revamping. And it's going to be nice to really dive into some of the conversation that community has been asking for. I can promise you all now in 2022, we're going to have a lot of conversations around health, mental health, and things of that nature in our community, as we're going to stay focused on the health and the financial aspects of our community, as well as we're going to bring some new topics and new conversations and really impact our community in 2022. We're going to have another relationship part 3 conversation. We're going to continue to just have these difficult conversations. We're going to continue to do the work to heal our community and continue to have these sometimes taboo conversations and sometimes the stigma conversations, but that is our job, and we're going to get there, and we're going to continue to do it and push forward. There's a number of events and things that we're going to be a part of to help impact our community, and we're just looking forward to partnering with folks in the community as we are planning, getting ready. And again, next year, the first event we're going to be kicking off is going to be a huge Bowling Day event. I'm so excited. I mean, this event is going to be huge for me, as I'm going to be honoring my mom, who I lost this year, as well as my cousin. They are big bowling fans. So to have this event partner with the EOC and a number of community organizations to bring a free family bowling day for community to just come out, enjoy our young people and enjoy the scenery, meet some new people, and just have a good old time, into this new year. It is going to be phenomenal, especially during our African American History Month and some of the things that we are working with our community. So I'm excited. Look out for us. There's more information is going to be coming out through our newsletter. If you haven't signed up yet, you need to go sign up for our newsletter. Go to our website, Both Sides of the Conversation. Sign up for the newsletter. Find out what's going on, what's coming up. As more community folks reach out to us, we're going to continue to push that community out to the community so everybody's connected and getting the resources and information. The East Oakland Collective is going to be feeding all the way up through the holiday into the new year. Like I said, on their Tuesdays and Thursday drives, there's going to be some amazing things that's going to be taking place, some added things for the grocery distribution and for the food network. So please tap into our community partner, East Oakland Collective. Check them out. Go out there and get some of the things that our community folks need. Anything that you all need, reach out to us. Both sides of the conversation. If you have an event, something you want to sponsor, or you want us to come out and be a part of, we have some amazing services that we're going to be bringing to the community in 2021. We're going to bring out some new products and things that we're going to be doing for the community. So I'm excited. Look out for us. If you want us to be a part of your event, if you want to sponsor or do some things, please go to our Both Sides of the Conversation events, the BSOTC at events. Send an email. Let us know what we could do to help support your event if you want us out there to uplift what you're doing and have impact. So we're looking forward to seeing you all. We will see you this Thursday. We'll have our Educational Thursday. We have a phenomenal guest. Our OMI legend, Miss Delia Fitzpatrick. She's going to do a presentation for community this Thursday. So we are looking forward to having her on. And then this Sunday, we'll be giving you an update to let you know about the Ask the Black Doctor Part 2. This will not just be about COVID. It will be about general questions for our doctors. So we are connecting right now to get that information out to let you know what's going to take place, or will it be pushed to another week. But we'll let you know by the end of the week, and we're going to continue to keep doing our work here at Both Sides of the Conversation. Thank you to the Both Sides of the Conversation team for all of the hard work, dedication that you all are doing behind the scenes to impact our community. Thanks to all of our community partners that are continuing to uplift and support the work that we're doing. And thank you to the donors, sponsors, and to all the community folks who have been donating to the toy drive, making sure that our community is impacted. And for people who don't think during these holiday seasons, people in the community don't have humility and compassion, let me let you all know there has been a lot of love and support coming into this drive and to a number of drives across this United States of America. So there's still some people with good hearts, and we're going to make sure that our communities are impacted. You'll catch us out in the community this Friday, Saturday. We'll be out there at a number of these events. So if you want to see us come out and support, we'll be at Ella Hill Hutch Collective Impact with the family over there this Saturday, 1 to 7 p.m. You'll see both sides of the conversation out there. I'll be out there. Pull up, come say hi, come talk to us. Let's chop it up and figure out how we can impact our community. With that being said, good evening. Be safe out there, folks. Stay warm. Be safe as we are all approaching this holiday season. There's been a lot of burglaries and robberies and different things happening. So be safe and enjoy your evening. And we'll see you all this Thursday for another Educational Thursday. Good evening. Have a blessed one, everybody.